Previously on Matinee Prices.
Well, you got to throw out a big net to catch the fish that she was bagging.
And now, Season 3.
Sometimes I see the world in color. Sometimes it's black and white. But everything's not always going to be great. Sometimes it's just going to be alright. We're 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 alright. Love and life, they come and go. If you give his life your love will grow. But still everything will always be alright. Sometimes it's just going to blow.
Nope, and it's about to die. That's a shame.
Movies based Matinee Prices, Episode 2, Season 3, movies based on books.
Am I on the screen this time, guys?
Yes.
Okay, good.
We're all on screen, we're all in
Nice.
frame.
Who might care?
All is right with the world.
We're all beautiful, or at least some of us are.
Haha. Others of us are just ugly beautiful.
Shh. You two keep it down. I'm trying
Cheers. Matinee Prices, Season 3, Episode 2, movies based on books.
Hey, can you tell me about that book? Can you tell me what's going on? What, is it
Hey,
a good
Huru,
book?
are you reading a book?
to read. I'm reading a book, morons. Keep it down.
Is it a good book? Can you tell me what happens in it?
What's the name of this book you're reading?
This is Brief Interviews with Hideous Men, or, translation, YouTube morons. Yeah, I said it.
All
All right,
right,
well, who's going to read?
who's going to read and
Can't
we'll
we
do
go
a show around him.
Yeah.
This is movies based on books. If you watched last week's episode, Jeremy Hawkins is joining us again. We have an actual published author in the studio, and by studio I mean my apartment. And so last week we talked about his book and some of the stuff that influenced him in writing it. And Last Days of Video, written by Mr. Jeremy Hawkins.
I don't like to self-promote, but it's the greatest book you'll ever read.
It really is. It's better than the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
It's made from paper.
Jeremy's bigger than Jesus.
He's taller.
John Lennon was fine when he said that, right?
Yeah, he was fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's all good. Last Days of Video. Check it out. I know we've pimped that movie book. I can always say movie because it reads like a movie. It's it reads like a movie.
And it's a VHS tape on it.
And it's a VHS tape. Last Days of Video, great book. Check it out if you miss VisArt Video or if you just miss video stores in general. Check out Last Days of Video.
Thank you.
It's awesome. But in keeping with the theme of books, tonight's episode is movies based on books. We got a display here. The Mesmerist. A lot of people probably don't know about that movie. It was straight to DVD. It stars Neil Patrick Harris and Howard Hessman from WKRP in Cincinnati. It's based on a short story by Edgar Allan Poe. It's a really good movie. It is creepy and it's awesome. It's set during the 1940s. And it was made before the Neil Patrick Harris resurgence.
Okay.
I think it came out right after Starship Troopers or
Okay.
something. So between Starship Troopers and Harold and Kumar.
Okay.
So but great movie. Check that one out. Obviously Jaws. Don't need to say anything about Jaws. I'm gonna get the ball rolling with a movie called The Paperboy. This based on the 1995 novel of the same name. The Paperboy. This movie is not for everybody. This movie is dark and intense and brutal and hard to watch. It stars Matthew McConaughey, Nicole Kidman, Zac Efron, John Cusack, Scott Glenn, Macy Gray, David Oyelowo. He played Martin Luther King.
Yeah.
And it was directed by Lee Daniels, who made Shadowboxer, Precious, and The Butler. Came out in 2012. Cinematography by the great Roberto Schaefer, who did Miles Ahead, The Kite Runner, Best in Show, Waiting for Guffman, and Monsters Ball. I'm gonna there was a lot of reviews, a lot of critics had a lot to say about this movie, and one quote that really stuck out to me was, "The Paperboy is an unpleasant look at a bunch of characters you can't help but hate."
But it's good.
It's so good.
That's a compliment.
Okay.
Yeah, this movie's set during the 1960s in the Deep South, and it involves a reporter and his little brother, and a man who's in prison for murder, and they suspect that maybe he might not be guilty, and they are just trying to unravel the case, trying to interview his family, try to get to the bottom of this. And John Cusack, in a decidedly non-John Cusack role, plays the guy who's accused of murder, the guy who's in prison. And John Cusack is just like a racist, sexist, southern redneck. Like he's a despicable person. It's John Cusack. This entire
John Cusack is going
this
to be...
entire movie will make you uncomfortable.
Oh.
There's a reason this movie is beautifully shot, well acted. Nicole Kidman got nominated for a Golden Globe Award and a Screen Actors Guild Award. Even Zac Efron is great in this movie. This is one of those movies where like you watch this movie and you're like, oh, I know who Zac Efron is from.
Did you just say Zac Efron is great in this movie?
He's really good in it.
Huh.
He's really good in it. It's one of the and honestly, like if he made more movies like this, maybe he wouldn't be written off as like just the guy from.
I feel like
and Baywatch. Like he has to act in this movie.
I feel like he's gonna have his day. Like
he might.
Like
it could have been
a
with
really
this
good actor, and it's gonna happen.
And it could have been with this movie if more people had seen it. Because like if you're in a movie with like Nicole Kidman, Scott Glenn, Matthew McConaughey, like you kind of have to step up your game.
Right.
Otherwise, you're going to stick out like a sore thumb.
Yeah.
And he's kind of the star of the movie.
Okay.
Like, because everyone else he's.
So was this in the McConaughey?
The resurgence.
Trying to get his indie cred.
Kind of came out. It came out just before Dallas Buyers Club.
Mud.
And Mud. Yeah, he kind of had a little resurgence. And the one thing I would compare it to, if you're just because it's set in the South, there's murder involved, and there's like a lot of investigation, and just the way it's shot and the mood. If you're a fan of True Detective, then you'll like this because it's very similar.
Okay.
And but it's set in the '60s in the Deep South, so there's a lot going on with like racism, and especially with the David Oyelowo character. And then there's like a big reveal with his character, like where he's not who he appears to be.
Who is not pictured on the show box, by the way, front or back.
He's not. I mean, he doesn't pop up into the movie until almost halfway.
What I'm saying is like
the
first line, a sexually and racially charged film noir, but there's
all white people.
There's no like race freaking differential there. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Just go in there.
Yes. And it was Lee Daniels, obviously, like I said, Precious and Shadow Boxer. He's not one of those. He's not a director who shies away from any sort of intensity, because you could have like watching this movie. It's great, and it's one of those movies where I watched it where it's like, I want movies like this to be successful and make money at the box office, but I understand why this didn't.
Right, true.
Because you can't market this movie. You can't be like, this is the latest Matthew McConaughey movie.
Yeah.
And then you see the stuff that he's doing.
Yeah.
And or you can't like bill this as a Nicole Kidman movie because it's so unlike this. Well, actually, she takes a lot of risky roles. So
she does.
But with John Cusack, you've never like hated John Cusack in a movie, probably. Even in maybe High Fidelity, he's kind of an asshole. And but he's John Cusack.
Yeah.
But in this, he's just like this swamp-dwelling, racist idiot.
I'm just going to say again, he's playing against type, I get it.
Yeah.
It makes me uncomfortable.
Because it's John Cusack. And I think that's one of the movies, and I think that is...
Does he just rise out of the swamp,
one of the
holding the speakers above his head?
playing
like Devil Goes Back to
Playing or something. Yeah.
That would be awesome. We got to get him to do that.
Yeah.
But it reminded me a little bit of, because we talked about it with in another episode a little bit with The Gift, where Keanu Reeves plays like a racist,
Yeah.
like wife beating, like lunatic,
Uh-huh.
and it's like wow, he's really playing against type here.
Yeah.
But it's kind of the same thing with John Cusack. Like he's never played a character like this, and he doesn't have a lot of screen time, but he's kind of the focus of the movie.
Okay.
But I highly recommend it. Like it's intense. It's well acted. The cinematography, the music, all the performances. It's beautifully shot, beautifully directed. Won a bunch of awards. I can't say enough good things about it. The Paperboy, Lee Daniels, Matthew McConaughey, Nicole Kidman.
Cameron, you've won me over.
Yeah,
I'm
I
gonna
hope
watch
I've
this
won
movie.
over a lot of people because I really dig this movie, The Paperboy from 2012.
Okay.
Check it out. Huru, would you like to talk about a movie that's based on
Are you
a
just
book?
going to read?
No.
You're kind of destroying the energy of the
You're
room.
really zapping the
You're just.
you're a succubus.
Yeah.
Wow.
You're
Yeah.
a succubus.
You're a literature succubus. You're a reading.
Huru,
Am I a
do
sexy succubus?
you have anything to say about the movie Coraline?
Nah.
All right, Jeremy, what you got for us?
I have a couple things I want to talk about really quickly, but I think that I will first talk about Watership Down.
Richard Adams, rest in peace.
Richard
Passed away
Adams,
last
rest in
year.
peace. Rest in peace. He lived to happy like 93.
Oh, yeah.
He was very, very.
Yeah.
I think when he passed away, I don't think it would be rude of me to say, be like, oh, that guy was still alive.
Yeah.
I think that's the way we all did, and it's okay.
Died in a knife fight in Tijuana.
I know.
Who'd have thought it? What are the chances?
7 people with him. So this is it's not only a movie based on a book. It's a fantastic movie, and I'm happy to talk about the movie.
Yeah.
But it's actually my favorite book of all time. So
Wow,
I guess
okay.
we're not
Wow.
we've all worked at Vizart together. That's why we're all here at a video store together, and we all had those sort of universal movie recommends that we just like. I don't really know you, but I think if I recommend The Station Agent, you're probably gonna like it. Or like Princess Bride, and we all had a couple that were like Little Miss Sunshine. We had
Like
a few
a-
that
like
were
a
in our
Karen-
pocket.
like a Karen,
They were
yeah.
like, "You're gonna like that," and you'd be like,
Yeah.
"Oh, but it's like sort of indie. It's not necessarily like super mainstream Hollywood." Those kind of movies are gonna really work. And I also worked at a bookstore, and Watership Down is my favorite recommend because yes, it's a beloved children's classic. But it has not fallen by the wayside necessarily. But a lot of people of this modern generation, especially younger readers, haven't read it and haven't heard of it.
Right.
And it's a book that if you give to people, 100% of the people will love it, and they will come back to you and tell you that you love it. It is the most charming, rewarding, intellectually challenging, and stimulating book that you can read. Like this is a very heavy book. It's a book about rabbits. It's a book that anthropomorphizes rabbits. And tells the story of a small group of rabbits who leave one community of rabbits to go try to find a new home and go through all this hell, running into different groups of rabbits, some of whom are benevolent, but most of them are rather malicious, trying to avoid humans, trying to avoid human development, and to get to the place called Watership Down, which is the place that they imagine will be their new home. It's their beacon on the hill. And in the end, it's a real allegory for human society, and all different, like each of the different groups they run into sort of represent different kinds of human society.
Yeah.
And it's really, really dark because it's actually quite violent, even though it's about rabbits. It's about rabbits killing each other.
It's
Or
incredibly
just
dark.
dying,
Yeah.
like some traps.
and the
dogs.
movie doesn't shy away from any of that.
Well, and the movie is its own. The movie, in many ways, is actually darker than the book. I mean,
because you have to see it.
You
You're not
see,
just
you see
imagining
rabbits
it.
killing each other,
Yeah.
whereas in the book, it's grittily described. I've read this book 4 times. Like I love this book. It's things are grittily described, and you cry when certain characters die, and it's gruesome the way it happens, but. Because a novel is fundamentally a larger thing, you get all these other moments. Whereas in a movie, it's just like it's just scarring.
Concentrated.
So, yeah, and the movie, I think a mid '80s movie. I think that's about right. It was
early mid-80s. I think so.
I saw it in the theater. My mom loved this book and wanted to take me to see it, so we went to the theater, and I was scarred for life because it is incredibly violent. And really, really disturbing in a lot of ways, but it's a movie that I come back to again and again because it's so beautifully illustrated.
Yeah.
It really translates from the book beautifully well. It's become a joke about how scarring it is. I'm not the first person to say that.
Yeah.
But it's really worth. I think it's worth watching as an adult. I really think it's a movie for adults. It's not a movie for kids.
Right.
But it's an allegorical movie for adults about human nature and
Yeah.
society.
And if you were to just grab the DVD and see, like, oh, it's animated and it's rated PG,
Yeah.
you would think, okay, Monsters Incorporated was
Yeah.
rated PG.
Yeah.
You know, so was, you know...
This is pre PG-13. This was
Kung Fu
100%
Panda.
PG-13.
Yeah,
and
this
maybe
would, like-
R. Like it'd be on the PG-13 R.
Yeah,
Let's
they're
say.
like gruesome
Yeah.
scenes of rabbits killing each other, or getting caught in the trap in
Right,
in that one.
traps.
It's like,
Yeah.
so I wouldn't recommend letting a young child watch this, but if you've never seen it, or if you just haven't seen it since you were younger,
Yeah.
revisit it.
Yeah.
As
And if,
well
and
as
if you've
that.
only seen the movie when you were a kid, I 100% recommend that you read the book. Go buy the book at your local independent bookstore. If you're here in Chapel Hill, go to Flyleaf Books and buy a copy of this book. It's got my recommend still currently on the book, and it's a long book, but you'll read it in like 4 days, and you'll love it. I guarantee it.
I
There you
actually, to tag on to that, as he said, scarring and scarred many people. That was the first movie
That you ever
I
saw
saw
in the theater.
in the theater. And it was, the person was a friend of my mother's who was, I think, also giving her a break. You know, like this birthday, happy birthday to you too.
Yeah.
And plus I was just getting spoiled. But he took me because it was an animated movie about rabbits.
Uh-huh.
So what could possibly go wrong? and you know, so not only is the rabbits killing rabbits, rabbits clawing rabbits, and like blood. There's the dog, the farmhouse dog.
Oh, I totally forgot about the dog.
The nine handling. There's the traps. There's the gassing.
Yeah.
So they
yeah.
could have very easily just like gas and then rabbits are dead. They show them like their eyes bugging out
Yeah.
and bloodshot and choking.
And then there are all these very surreal scenes where they cross over into not straight animation, where they get quite psychedelic,
Right.
and it's insanity.
It's insanity,
and
yeah.
it just gets even deeper into
Yeah.
your head. Yeah.
And he, I can kind of picture him as like, and then looking down at me and like my eyes this big. And then once we got back and he was apologizing to my mom, like, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I was animated in rabbits. I thought, what could go wrong?
Yeah.
And she kind of like, well, what'd you think? And I looked at him and I was like, I loved it.
Yeah.
And went to go play.
Yeah.
So take that what you will.
It's got to mean something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's gotta mean
it was
something.
like, well, it scarred normal people, so
And we're
yeah.
fine.
Yeah,
We're totally fine now.
So, like I said, take that what you will. I saw actually with this gentleman years back. We saw Coraline. Oh yeah, that's Jaws. We saw Jaws.
Original theatrical release.
Coraline, which was originally done by Neil Gaiman.
Great Neil
A little
Gaiman.
short story
It's
about
a novella. It's like a 80-page novel, very short. It's great,
Okay,
with
if
illustrations.
you're pompous, you call it novella. If I call it a short story,
If you
'cause
know what
I'm American.
If you know what
it's
words
called.
mean, you call it a novella.
And I don't, because I'm American. So, graphic novel, short story is a book with paper in it. So
Yeah, it was.
but we saw it, and it's the Leica. Is that how you pronounce it? The group
Leica Studios.
Leica
Mhm.
Studios, and they've done Paranorman. They've done Box Trolls. They did Kubo.
Kubo and the Two Strings.
Two
Yeah.
Strings, which is amazing.
So good.
Absolutely.
They're 4 for 4.
They're really 4 for 4, but Coraline was just one. I saw it in 3D. I saw it in the theater. It was the first 3D movie I had seen of the new crop. They had kind of like gone away from it. It was too expensive. The technology didn't mesh up. But they started doing it again. Like they let us. They weren't taking back the 3D goggles yet.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I still have them.
This was like Hollywood saying 3D's back,
3D's
and it got a lot better.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I have a feeling if it had failed, like there were still a few in the pipe, they would have.
They were testing the waters.
Yeah,
definitely.
But it's about a young girl who, almost like an Alice through the Looking Glass sort of thing. Like she goes through a sort of small door. They move in. She and her parents move into a new house. She goes through a small door, secret, with a locked key and discovers basically an alternate universe or version of her world that's slightly different.
Where like everything seems better initially, but then she starts to see
the puppets, and of course it doesn't work out, and hilarity ensues. And by hilarity, I mean
the
scary stuff.
Eyes
but it's creepy. It does like that nice edge of like creepiness before it gets just too much.
Right.
You know, because it's you could say it's for, I don't know if you say kids or young adults.
I'd say with it, like it's rated PG, but I would say like
right there
10 or 12 would be the cutoff because it is creepy. Like the thing where like they want to remove her eyes.
Like sewing needles are coming through buttons that are supposed to be eyes, and we saw it in 3D, so it was like zooming out at you, but it's really fantastic.
And then the character, the YB character,
blown away.
You find out that YB stands for Why Born.
Yeah.
Why were you born?
Why were you born?
Yeah.
It's just, I was just blown away. It's one of those things I'll let, if you're a parent, I'll let you judge it if you feel your children are ready for it. But as an adult, young adult or old adult or middle-aged adult, whatever you want to call it, I would highly recommend Coraline, and I'm sure these gentlemen
definitely.
Absolutely. It's also, and it's one of my favorite Neil Gaiman books. I mean, I quite like Neil Gaiman. American Gods is a thing that's getting like amazing press right now. It's an amazing book.
The Sandman, Mirror Mask, like Neil Gaiman.
Yeah.
He's
the
man.
Coraline, I think is I love it as a book. He's written a few. This sort of it falls in the like middle grade category in the book world. So like not little kid books and not adult books and not teen books necessarily. It's sort of like that little thing right before teen books. So quite mature. And a lot of those books now in the modern like book world have really mature themes that they deal with and can be really dark. As you know, like Wizard of Oz is actually a really dark book. So like kids have been reading this kind of dark stuff for a long time. But I think he writes amazingly well in that. He's got other books that he's written in that for that age. And
well, I think Neil Gaiman is right. Like he's one of the few, like you could say, like some authors, maybe even Stephen King, a little bit even, but like Neil Gaiman is one of those authors where someone could come to him and be like, and give you a specific age and gender and say, write a book for that.
Yeah.
You could say, write a book for 9-year-old girls.
Yeah.
Write a book for 15-year-old boys.
Absolutely.
Like you could give him any age, and he could write a book specifically for those people.
Even
and it would be great.
Even awesomer, I feel he could just do a book, and it would be for everybody. Like it doesn't skew one gender or the other. It's for everyone, and you could tell and appreciate it for that. If you're fans of R.L. Stein, I feel like you've got that sort of creepy.
Or Roald Dahl, like you've seen that.
Roald Dahl, very.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like if you had just like if you saw Coraline and you know anything about it, and if someone was like, oh, you know, that was based on a book by Roald Dahl, you would totally be like, oh yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
But no, it's like it's no Gaiman. But if you're a fan of like Roald Dahl, you know, like James, it's kind of like James and the Giant Peach a little bit.
Yeah. Which is actually as we're talking about Roald Dahl, it makes me want to revise. I mean, I love Watership Down, but now I want to choose the Witches. The
Witches. That is a great movie.
And the walls come tumbling
Leave
down.
it in.
Leave it in.
Realism.
It's staying in.
The Jim Henson Studio.
Yeah, absolutely.
Witches.
And it's a weird. We're picking really dark, weird.
And
movies.
Rowan Atkinson is in it.
Absolutely, he's great.
Are you flip flopping?
Huh?
Are you flip flopping?
I am, because I also want to talk about brief interviews. There are all these things I want to talk about.
That's true.
You can't ask a writer who worked in a video store for 10 years to pick a movie made from a book and only pick one.
Yeah.
It's not fair.
Just pick one.
Damn it. Watership Down.
I did it.
And as long as we're like just going off on tangents, I want to say like, and just briefly, maybe my favorite as far as like being a literal straight adaptation from the book to the movie, it would be the movie The Outsiders, because it's like Coppola literally just took the book and made a screenplay from the book, and something I didn't know until a few years ago that and if you're going to see it, get the DVD that's referred to as the complete novel, because he put in like he reinserted the opening and the closing. So like all the stuff that he had to cut for the theatrical release, he put back in, and he took out the score and just put in rock and roll from the early '60s.
Really?
So it makes it more like authentic. But the story behind The Outsiders being made was there was a teacher, I think in Texas or Oklahoma or something, and her students loved The Outsiders. It was a book that her students had all kind of like read, and they were all passing around each other. And this woman, this teacher, her student, or maybe she was a librarian, and all these kids in the school were like, this would be a great movie. You know who should make this movie? The guy who made, what's that horse movie that he made? Not National, Black
Beauty.
Black Stallion.
Black Stallion, yeah.
Yeah, it was like, the guy who made Black Stallion could make this in a movie, it'd be awesome. The librarian, or teacher, I'm blanking on what she was, she was like, okay, I'm going to write a letter to Francis Ford Coppola. So she wrote a letter to Francis Ford Coppola,
Yeah.
like speaking for her students. It was like, hey, Mr. Coppola, we're a big fan of all the movies you do.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of this book called The Outsiders? Because all of my kids agree that it would make a great movie.
Yeah.
And Coppola got the letter, read the letter, went out the next day, apparently, bought a copy of the book, and was like, this would make a great movie. And he made it into a movie.
Wow.
All just because these kids,
Yeah.
like, convinced their teacher to
Wow.
write a letter to, like, and this is, like, after both Godfather movies, so it's
Yeah.
like, they're swinging for the fences by
Yeah.
asking Coppola
Yeah.
to do this. And, and he did it.
Wow.
And it's just this beautiful story of
Okay.
like just these kids who got what they wanted, you know.
Is that what the story's about? These kids? Yeah.
Well, the story of the movie being made,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
you know, and it's just so sweet. Coppola, you know, that like he read a letter from some teacher
Yeah.
and then was
That's
like,
wonderful.
I don't have anything to do this weekend. Yeah,
Yeah.
let me check out this book.
Wow.
And then he went out and made the movie.
So I'm gonna need you guys to write
to Coppola.
a couple of big time directors about this book, you know.
Hey, have
Last
you
Days
ever
of
heard of The
Video.
Last Days of Video? Because it would make
I
a
think
great
you
book.
make a like or start teaching school.
I'm an
Get a bunch of
11
kids.
I'm an 11-year-old
Get a
boy,
million.
and I really love this
Yeah.
movie, this book, and
Yeah.
it would make a great movie.
Stop calling my book a movie.
I
Because
can't
it's
not.
not a
it's-
movie.
I
yet.
know, but whenever
I want it to be.
I've read your
that
book,
would be great.
I've read your book 3 times, and like
Apparently, he's read my book 3
with
times.
certain books, when
Are
I
you
read
in
them,
love with me? I
I
don't
see
understand.
them as a movie, and that's one of the books. Is like when I read it, like because I worked at Vizart, so I
Yeah.
can see the layout of the store and
Yeah.
I know like all the stuff you're talking about. But like when I'm reading it, like it's a movie in my head that I'm watching, and I can hear the guy's voice. And to me, it's like I'm like de-aging Paul Giamatti by 15 years.
Oh yeah.
And he's wearing wax, so it's like I'm here, and so I can hear his
Giamatti?
voice in my head.
Oh, thanks. Okay. Good.
Yeah, so it's like, whenever I read your book, it's like I'm watching a little movie in my head, and it's freaking awesome.
All right. Thank you guys for going on my tangent.
Yeah.
Look how I just brought it back around to my book again. I just like
Way to make it about you, Jeremy.
right back around.
I was trying to keep still for like when we edit most of that out.
We're still good on time.
Not gonna happen.
No, but like,
Not gonna happen.
like he did most of that in the library episode, which is why I was like, okay. let
About
me-
what?
About the book.
About what?
About Coppola.
No, I never did that.
Yeah, you did.
No, I didn't.
I've heard it before.
Not on the show. Not on the show though.
Oh, really?
Because
You
in
know
the
show?
no, because I didn't get a chance to. I just gave a little shout out to Amy Poehler's book. But you guys just talked about Relic and Blade Runner and.
Oh, you were going to?
Oh, that was what I had in the pike. But like we ran short on time, so I was
What's
just like,
the
hey, in the pipe.
Oh, okay.
In the pipe. I said pipe.
You said pipe.
I'm so drunk right now.
Movie and pipe. Let's
A pike is a friggin' fish.
This
So I had
show-
this fish, and I had all this stuff planned out with this
right in
fish.
it.
This show is brought to you by Jeremy's book
And alcoholism.
and the word movie and the word pike.
This is not coffee.
I have coffee. I don't drink coffee.
So we're gonna close this. Like I said, season 3, we're introducing a lot of new segments. A couple of months ago, Hoover and I were looking over the AFI like top 100 movie quotes, and it was written in 1995, and we were like, there have been so many great movie quotes since then that like either didn't make the cut or from movies that came out after that. So Hoover and I have been slowly developing our own top 100 quotes from movies.
Well, we started with the ones we just say all the time.
Exactly. And we were like, this should be on the AFI should update their list, but since they're not going to, we're going to make our own. So every few episodes, we're going to give you 10 more quotes from movies, and if at any point you're like, oh, how come you didn't do this quote? Or it's like, chances are that's one that AFI did in theirs. We're doing stuff that the AFI didn't do.
Right.
So
And we'll get to ours.
Exactly.
We'll get to yours probably.
Yeah.
If it's not in AFI.
but
Just
these
give us a
are
minute.
for
Just
us.
be patient.
Yeah.
Just give us a minute.
Just be patient.
So I'm gonna get Huru here to. These are the first 10 that and these are in no particular order. We're gonna do 10 sets of 10. So, but these are all great quotes, and I say the criteria is like it's immediately recognizable, or it's just a great line, or it's something that has seeped into popular culture. It's something that society as a whole just now says,
Right.
and you forgot where it came from even. So give us the first 10.
Very quickly, Cameron, is Huru going to be performing these lines?
You have to
as an
impersonate
impersonating the
No.
actor?
No.
Because
Apparently not.
I'm not-
That's
I'm
what
not a
I feel like. No,
Yeah.
Apparently not.
I guess not.
All right.
No.
So give us the first 10.
So number 1, I ain't got time to bleed. Do we tell them what it's from?
Yeah.
Really? Shouldn't they guess?
They should.
I
They
feel
just-
like
You say the quote, I'll say the movie.
All right. They ain't got time to bleed.
I feel like that
Predator.
I feel like that requires an impression.
I ain't got
From
time to bleed. Imagine I got a lip full of chew in the back end. I ain't got time to bleed.
I ain't got time to bleed.
Jesse the Body Ventura from Predator.
There you go. Number 2, that'll do, pig. That'll do.
James Cromwell from Babe.
Number 3, as if.
Alicia Silverstone, Clueless.
Number
that
4, I'm getting too old for this shit.
Danny, like, who hasn't said that? How is that? How did that not make the top 100? Because that is seeped into the culture.
Yeah.
Everybody says that. Instead of The Simpsons, Family,
Yeah.
like it's a thing now. Yeah, Danny Glover, the great Danny Glover.
Number 5, I know you want to do number 5.
Number 5. I'll try to do that.
I was like,
Warriors, come out to play.
Well, that's pretty good, man.
he totally should
Pretty
not have
good.
done that. That's fine.
Yeah, I mean, embarrassing. but
Yeah, that was
very, you did pretty
that
good.
was Number 6, these go to 11.
Spinal Tap,
There you go.
the great Christopher Guest.
Number 7, and why so serious?
Heath Ledger from The Dark Knight.
I kind of get because everybody was saying it, and it should have been on their list, but everybody was saying it, so I don't really say it anymore.
But it meets the criteria because it's
Yeah,
seeped in
that
the
is
culture.
true.
Yeah.
That is true.
It's like and you immediately know what it's from.
Number 8. I'm not bad. I'm just drawn that way.
Kathleen Turner as Jessica Rabbit.
Oh, there was
Rabbit.
no way I was gonna. There was no way I was gonna try.
You can't do an impression of Kathleen Turner.
No one
Yeah.
can do an impression of Kathleen
No.
Turner. Number 9. This is probably my favorite on the list. You're killing me, Smalls. It's on his freaking
So
shirt.
good.
Come on.
You're killing me,
So
Smalls.
You're killing me, Smalls.
If at any point you've just been exacerbated by the idiocy that your friend is displaying, you probably said that. You're killing me, Smalls.
You're killing me, Smalls. Yeah. Side note, real quick. Someone came in to the cradle.
Oh, I love this story.
No, this is a different story.
Oh,
Because
okay.
it just happened like 2 weeks ago. With just a picture of Squints
Nice.
on his shirt.
Yeah.
And it was the part where he was at the pool.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like I saw it, and he was grinning. He was like,
Yeah.
yeah. And I went. He came in. I was like, Wendy Peppercorn. That was so, like,
Fantastic.
that was awesome. I bought his beer that first round.
Nice.
Number 10. I want my $2.
Better Off Dead. I can't remember the kid's name, but he was only in that movie. He was in that and Back to the Beach. But he never.
Back to the beach. What is Back to the beach?
With Frankie and Annette.
Yep.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
With cameos by.
How do you know that kid was in that movie?
He was their son.
How do you know that?
That movie features cameos by Stevie Ray Vaughan, Dick Dale, friggin' Paul
Do you see-
Rubens.
What is it?
It's got Pee Wee Herman's version of Surfing Bird.
Yep.
What?
Like
I know that movie. I saw it when I was a kid.
Adams. It's got Gilligan and the Skipper.
Yep.
Like
This is what I don't.
I genuine like. We got to do another episode where we talk about Back to the Beach.
God, a whole episode would be great.
An entire episode,
Amazing.
a 5-parter.
This is what I always dealt with working in Bizarre. Like, I know enough about movies that I wrote a fucking novel about working in a video store.
Novel.
But these guys, no, it's just, I feel inferior.
It's
I
really-
But I'm the same way because I'm like, and I never wrote a book. It's like this.
But you could write a book.
I know.
I'm never gonna watch Back to the Beach again.
Exactly. I could have written a book, but I never got off my ass and did it because when I read your book, I was like, too late. I should. I was like, I should have did this.
I should have did this. Maybe that's why I couldn't write a book, because that's not English.
Hawkins.
That's not good.
I could have done this.
Could have been done by me up there. That's what he was saying. And
Exactly.
then he didn't do it, and it was too late. And like Hawkins and
I shook my fist at the heavens. All right,
Hey
so,
guys,
yeah.
can I say I feel like we're coming to the end. I feel like that's
We
I'm
are.
getting the vibe that we're coming to the end. I want to say a couple things. One is that I'm actually the only thing I want to say is that I'm deeply disappointed that I wasn't the meat in the middle of sitting in the middle so I could be the meat of the matinee prices sandwich.
No meat.
I'm really I'm a piece of the bread. Like you put the delicious thing on top of two pieces of bread. What kind of sandwich is this?
No sandwich.
But you get the special chair.
I do get the special chair.
You get the good chair.
I feel like my elbows and my shoulders have been up a little bit higher than I'm quite comfortable with.
Yeah.
But it's actually quite comfortable.
It's the
chair.
comfy chair. It's the
comfy
comfy
chair.
chair.
But thank you guys so much for having me.
Thanks
This has been really wonderful.
Thanks for being on the show, and and to all the people out there, season 2, season 3, again, I've had a lot to drink.
Season 7.
We're well underway, and obviously the show is just going swimmingly. And please join us next week. And big thank you to Jeremy Hawkins. Check out his book, The Last Days of Video. You can get it online. You can go to your local bookstore and buy it, or just find it. You know the title of the book, and you know the author who wrote it.
Oh, thank you.
That's
guys.
all you need. Go get his book.
Thank you guys. Please
And
shop at
read
your
it.
local independent bookstore
And
or
yes.
video store.
And wherever you live, yes, please support your local bookstore, video store, record store, whatever, because they need your money. Good night.
Good night.
Keep watching movies, keep reading books. And keep watching movies based on books. All that shit.
Yeah, I see you.
It's the Baxter Show.
It's the Baxter Show.